Hailing frequencies are open. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Last Excelsior, our Star Trek Adventures actual play here with the StreamPunks. Tonight is episode 30. You'll notice that, at least currently, the episode numbering is a little off. That'll get fixed later. No sweat. Jake is off tonight. I didn't know he was in the UFC, but apparently he is, and he's taken on, I don't remember the two people, but it's this weird exhibition. Anyway, he'll be fine. After he gets his jaw wired, he's going to be back in helping us out. But tonight, it's just going to be Noir, who is in the captain's seat twice. So thank you, Noir, for TDing for us tonight. I'm going to just jump into my announcements. I have no idea when it comes out, but issue 3 of the Rise of Hellfire, their Stranger Things comic, Stranger Things D&D comic that we did telling the origin story of Eddie Munson, is currently out. Issue 4, which will be the final issue of the series, I think is out this month, but it's hard to say because it was such a late release last month, so it might actually be out next month in time for Comic-Con. So yeah, check it out. That's all I got at the moment. Anybody else have any announcements this evening?
I'll go. You're going to be the first to hear this, everyone in chat. This week's episode of Sacred Machination is going to be pushed back by a week. Our wonderful editor, what was that word? Editor, Dylan, fell ill and hasn't been able to edit the most recent episode, so we're going to be giving them time to relax and recoup. Just going to have to wait a little bit longer for the next episode, but I promise you the wait will be more than worth it, especially since it's going to be enough of a wait for Dylan to cover. I also say, if everyone's cool with this, I've actually got my first bit of fan mail. I actually never got in fan mail before, and this is the first time I've gotten any, and it's from Guy and Molly. Thank you all so much. They made trading cards of just some of the Clear Sky stuff, as well as
nice.
From where Commander Taeon originally came from, the USS Javelin, from the other Star Trek game that I played as Commander Taeon. So that was really, thank you so much, Guy. Also Molly as well. I got a letter from Guy and Molly. They were so sweet. And this is all because some of this art is also from Lemon Twist, Geek Filter, and Brie as well. So thank you all for pitching in to make this stuff. This is really cool. And when I collected my mail, I started crying in front of the kind postman.
Good.
Good. So yeah, thanks for that. I'm going to be remembered as the crying guy.
Excellent. I approve of this. All right. Thank you, Drac. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to announce tonight before we jump into the game? Go ahead, Caitlin.
I play GeoGuessr. When I'm not in space, I'm back on Earth, and I am trying to figure out where I am very quickly and against the clock or against other people. And sometimes I'm good at it, and sometimes I'm bad at it. But the VODs are really fun. You should check them out on YouTube. And also, you should send Drac more fan mail.
All right. Anybody? Yeah, Noir.
Really quickly, we have episode 4 of Bad Meets Evil coming out tomorrow, so please be sure to check that out. A quick hello to all of the Monday Marvel gang. You guys had a really fun one today. Thank you. Also, just really quickly, if you can, please be sure to support the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights in LA right now. Things are getting a little hectic, so let's do all the good that we can. I'm gonna try and throw together another charity game. I don't know what it is, so be on the lookout for that. And finally, I do have 2 projects coming up soon. I can't quite talk about them, but I am officially entering the world of Vampire the Masquerade, and I'm so incredibly excited. So be on the lookout for that.
Sweet. All right. Thank you, Noir. Anybody else got anything?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I meant to say anybody else who is not a Harvard student.
I'm not. I finished up. That's kind of the point. Now that I finished all my classes, I can be back for morning people. We're coming back. I have the science all ready, and it's just the level. Trust me, you need this science. It's very good for you and nice. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific time, twitch.tv/Delevely, DELEVELY. For science.
Just get wrapped in a nice warm science blanket.
It's really nice.
Right after you wake up, have a nice hot cup of science waiting for you.
You really should.
Well, as someone who absolutely despises science, I'm still going to recommend everyone check out your program, even though I think science limits our capacity to make ourselves the center of the universe. But whatever. I guess we'll get into the more closed-minded genres of Star Trek tonight. So let's go ahead and call that the announcements for this evening. Let's begin our episode of The Last Excelsior.
One and
But that's pretty much why I think the Borg have it right, because unity in general, you know what I mean?
Well, how else are you going to have all of the biological and technological distinctiveness?
Yeah, and there is a 0 wait time when you order a pizza if you're part of the collective. 0.
And who doesn't want that kind of efficiency?
By the way, as a quick reminder, the very first coming live Jack. Oh, wait, let me rephrase that. The very first time I ever did a joke when we were going live at the very top of a show was our very first episode of Eric's TBD RPG, and it was with Darren DePaul, and I was making a pizza joke. So
burning in the roof of your mouth, as I recall.
Yeah, come full circle. All right. Anyway, let's jump into tonight's episode of The Last Excelsior before we just continue a ramble here. But
full circle like a pizza.
Yeah, full circle. Now you're going to get me thinking about pizza. Okay, so where the crew of the USS Pride last left off, you are all on your way to Bajor. And there's been a couple of developments that have happened. Some pretty big developments. You've gotten a little bit of a taste of what it is the USS Pride is up against right now. You've gotten an idea of what the side effects of using that advanced experimental sort of a temporal hyper jump in warp to essentially get you from A to B in I would say a fractal amount of time, in that you basically are cracking through the pane glass window of space-time and arriving faster, technically in your time frame, arriving about the time you left. It's not a speed thing. It's literally changing how you interact with time. This has had the side effect, as you all know, that anti-chronoton variants that are saturating the hull of the USS Pride have been excited by this experimental warp. And now you are all learning that everyone who has been serving on board the Pride might actually be also saturated with these anti-chronotons, which is added to a whole new level of confusion with what happens next regarding the USS Pride. You guys don't know exactly what is going to be the consequences of using that warp trick that you did, but there is a threat that it's entirely possible the USS Pride could be headed for the same fate as your now long out of contact Klingon friend who you have not heard from for some time. That being said, plotting a course to Bajor, you were trying to get in contact with Chief Tech Lenatus. And this is also something of connected, rather, it is connected to this issue with Tholians for some reason. There has been issues and sightings of a ship that had been unseen for many years now, suddenly popping back into Starfleet's intelligence database, then vanishing, and then reappearing again. It's reappeared and interacted with the USS Ross during the bulk of her maiden voyage, and now apparently the Catechist is reappearing again. And star charts, and it's basically charting its journey. Starfleet has managed to figure that it looks like it might be tracking the USS Pride. It has not been seen in some time. There's a lot of things that apparently are taking place. Okay, we lost Noir, and Noir is back.
Hello.
We missed you. I don't know if you know this, but those anti-chronotons, that was one full week for us. This is episode 31, Noir.
And now it's been.
I will not sing. I
I personally enjoyed it when you went around. So like, if you were there again, I wouldn't.
When I left, I was stalking you.
Wow!
For the murder. No, I'm sorry. Please continue.
We're all a little loopy tonight. I don't know if y'all noticed that.
Time loopy, apparently.
Yes, we're going to get underway, though, as the USS Pride is currently on course for a very long journey to Bajor. Just to give you a quick update as to the protocol of the situation, the conference, the engineering conference that you were going to, you all have reached out. Tech has actually confirmed that he is there, and he will be awaiting the arrival of the USS Pride. So the conference knows y'all are on the way. It is going to be a rather long journey, though. The journey to Bajor from where you are in the quadrant is not a hop, skip, and a jump. Right now, at warp 7, you guys, it'll take roughly a week and a half to reach Bajor. So the USS Pride has just completed the first day of that journey. As y'all are warping across the quadrant, you have just left the beta quadrant and entered into the alpha quadrant and are on your way. It is the first day, the first full day of Lieutenant Commander Cadence's new position as XO. And we are going to open up tonight's episode with Cadence early in the morning before your duty shift begins.
Yeah.
With a stack of pads on your desk with duty roster assignments and updates, because now you are receiving all of the updates from all the department heads all over the ship, as well as personnel requests and things the department heads are putting on your agenda. Everything that the captain needs to have you do, the paperwork, essentially.
Yep.
You're getting a snapshot of what Hata was doing every day so effortlessly. It is now in a pile in front of you.
Oh, God. Okay. I have had enough sleep. I can do this. Pad 1. And I dive.
Okay. You begin your hard dive into these data pads. I'm going to ask for a roll.
Given that I am wildly underqualified, is this a daring command check?
Unfortunately, no. This is technically going to be a reason command check. Yeah. Yep. The difficulty is 1.
I'm going.
Yes.
To use the little XO crew, knows all the crew real close to him.
Okay.
Momentum doodle.
Is that the technical term in the book, if I remember correctly?
You know, they pronounce it close-knit crew, but potato, all right? The point is I need a momentum, all right?
Okay.
Oh,
Spend the
I would
momentum
like
to
to
get a
mention
momentum.
your new role benefit is absolutely baller. I don't know if you've checked
I
it
know,
out.
but I don't know that I get to keep both. That seems because I also have a flight controller role.
Mm.
Makes sense.
Whoa, what? Does leadership go into this?
I think
Leadership.
it
I'm
Leadership.
doing a command thing.
This is more administration than it is like showing leadership, but I'll allow it this one time.
Okay, that gets us to 4.
4 successes.
Whoa.
Yeah, because the 3 would have crit then.
Then I would say this for you, Cadence, as you begin to sift through the data pads, familiarity begins to settle in. It's not all that dissimilar to the times that you were plotting flight plans in your patrol days as a wing commander during the Dominion War. And as you're moving through the data pads, you can see that, in fact, a lot of the department heads of the Ox crew are simply updating you to things that they are handling, keeping you informed of their projects, and very little requests for guidance. Most of it is just reports coming in, just keeping you posted. And of course, the AI on the data pad is summarizing everything and keywording everything so that the commander's time can be well spent. And as you're going through all of this, setting pads down left and right, it's quick, easy. And when you're done, you are going to gain a bonus momentum on top of the momentum you just earned that can be spent at any time in this game to activate a trait or an ability that will support the crew, including discussions or personal conversations you have with Ox crew.
Okay.
Going through the data pads, you set them down, and this having been your first time, Cadence, going through each and every pad here and getting to know a little bit about what the department heads are working on in their projects and whatnot, as you set it down as part of this great success you just rolled, there is that sense of familiarity that settles in on you. In fact, it might be accurate to say that in just the past 20 minutes of looking through the data pads and getting a snapshot of what happens on board the ship between the time where you go to the bridge, to the cafe, to your quarters, to the hangar, and back to the bridge, everything else that's happening on the ship, it really brings to life how hard and how unified the crew is working in the background.
Because I've succeeded on an administrative command check as XO, and I have the hot shot trait, I'd like to take a point of stress.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll give you a point of stress.
Yeah.
That was going to be the result of a failure, but I do think it's totally appropriate.
Heads, I win.
Sam, I'm just too familiar with research. I know how this works. This is just too accurate.
Are we just gonna do this?
Oh yeah, no, you're gonna wear this forever. You're gonna get a random phone call at like 11:30 at night in your 80s, and you're gonna hear me on the other side of the line going, "Hey, Harvard student."
Who knows? Maybe they'll be back taking classes again, and
Yeah,
it'll be, they'll be fine.
Now, Eric.
Extension School's a really good program.
So, with that though, what is everybody else doing currently? Is there anything you're getting on? Because the journey to Bejor right now, for about a week and a half, you guys are going to be at warp. So there's some downtime here.
There's a chirp at Cadence's door.
Okay. Just as you set down the final pad, you hear the chirp at your front door.
Enter.
Are you in your quarters, or are you in like a conference room?
Do you understand how early it is?
This is what I'm asking. Which is why Tavine, the door opens to Tavine with coffee and breakfast. From the galley, not from a replicator.
Commander?
I can be commander if you would prefer that, but I figured I could be Tavine over breakfast.
Eat your mic.
I figured I could be Tavine over breakfast.
Thank you.
Caitlin, when's the last time Tavine brought Cadence breakfast? Tell me about it.
Oh man, I'm so sorry about this. The day before her own graduation.
Cool. I will kick a chair, open. Looks like graduation.
I would say I've gotten better in the years that have passed, but I find that would be untrue. And she'll set down just like slightly singed, like eggs. The toast looks fine because that was in a toaster. But the sausages are probably edible. The last time she made this, she would have been, early 20s. And she has never been a chef. But it is the easy comfort food that they used to make when the two of them were kids, probably. It looks probably exactly the same.
They
Coffee's
rip
good,
off a
though.
piece of toast, shove it in their mouth while they go and get silverware and just kind of plonk it for you. We've been serving together for a while. So, I mean, I just assume Commander's trying to butter up the new XO.
More trying to extend a burnt breakfast shaped olive branch in a social capacity.
That one didn't land.
No. As well as in congrats, and as well as in your big sister knows it's early. And you probably haven't eaten breakfast.
There are so many paths, Tavine.
I've seen how to work.
Rosters, reports, forever. I went to sleep 3 hours ago.
Due to inability to sleep or due to workaholic?
They just look at the stack of pads.
Is that the
Catching
to-do
up.
list? The to-do list or the finished list?
Oh, they look over their other shoulder at a much more intimidating stack of pads.
We have a week before we...
I know.
She pushes the plate of breakfast closer to you.
Oh, eggs of coping.
Is that like a magical item?
They hope so.
I summon the eggs of coping.
Thank you for congrats breakfast. It's nice. And you feel a kick on your shin.
You get a kick back.
Suck up.
Did it work?
Toothbrush scrub the whole hull. I can say that now.
I'll replicate a few. It's a big ship.
Big ship. You know exactly how big. Oh, you know exactly how big. I need to get briefed from you about the ship, don't I?
If you insist. you as someone who has been on the receiving end of lore dump and info dumps about Excelsior class ships since we were teenagers.
Commander Tavine, would you please tell me about the details of this Excelsior class ship, the USS Pride? And then I just throw the rest of that cup of coffee back at once. And settle in for whatever roller coaster I'm about to be taken on. That's what we're doing.
Okay.
Perhaps I think that Tavine instead says it is a very large ship, which is in fact in this moment missing its helmsperson. I will leave you and your ears intact for now.
Oh, they get out their tricorder, just med scan you.
You get an eyebrow.
And I think they'll just like elbow the console behind them for the door for you.
Good luck
Toast.
I take the other one with me. Good luck with your data pads, Commander. Take a bite.
I think from about halfway down the hall, you can hear.
They'll be fine. Keep walking.
The moment your sibling leaves your quarters and the door shuts, you see a new notification pop up on your current list of sort of your I forget what the exact term would be to use, your to-do list, your duties for the day.
Oh, that's what cues the noise. Got it.
Mm-hmm. And as you see it pop up, it's a very curious notification, one you've not received ever, but perhaps this is the first of many new things to be experiencing as the XO. But it is actually a notification from Deck Chief Keith Santos asking for a bit of your time for a matter of sensitive in nature, according to the message. I'd like to speak to you when you have a moment.
All right. Wow. Sorry. Just so that I understand what I'm reading. Deck Chief Santos has asked me for something politely.
Yes, XO. That would appear to be
I hate it here. I hate it. I hate it. What? No.
That would appear to be what happened.
There have been reports of this alternate dimension. They call it a mirror.
Yeah.
I think I'm in it.
Flavor of mirror universe where people are nice to you.
I hate it. Eggs, toast. And we can chew on our Nope, I need to put on my uniform and not my pajamas. Okay, now I'm going.
Okay. When you reach the flight deck, Santos spots you as you step on board, especially because a few of the members of the deck crew nod to you. And Commander, you can see everyone giving a little more deference as the XO of the ship walks onto the deck. But Santos strides up to you and says, "Good morning, Commander."
Chief Santos?
Yeah. Do you have a moment I can talk to you?
Of course. Why don't we step into the kegs?
Points, offers you to step forward first and follows you into the smaller office off to the side of the main hangar bay. You can see that currently the main hangar is under a maintenance. And you can see they've got a couple of the Peregrines out and just going through standard diagnostic repairs and whatnot. A typical busy time here in the main hangar bay. As you're led into the office, though, it's quite empty in here. Santos moves over to the desk and sets his pad down and then takes off his belt that's holding all these heavy tools that he has just strapped around, sets it down, and he goes, I wanted to talk to you kind of off the side about Peaches.
All right.
You're probably going to love this, actually. But, well, given the state of things and, some of the things that have happened, the state of things, I guess, kind of sums it up a bit. But Peaches has been making inquiries that have caught my attention the past 24 hours. and I thought I'd bring it to your attention because I don't think Peaches knows exactly. Peaches is good on protocol. I don't think Peaches knows exactly how to approach emotional beings with this kind of information. So let me just go ahead on Peaches' behalf and let the XO of the ship know what one of the crew members has been saying. I think Peaches wants to become a full-fledged member of the crew. And I know that we consider Peaches a full-fledged member of the crew, but I mean, I think Peaches wants, I think Peaches wants to be acknowledged as, I think Peaches wants a rank. I think Peaches wants to be part of the crew. And, Starfleet's obviously opened its mind considerably to synthetic life forms being members of the crew and whatnot, but I think Peaches is also a little aware that he's pretty new and they kind of fall into the experimental category. Starfleet has this whole thing where if it's a prototype, it requires a little more time before it's fully integrated into shipboard duties. But considering the things that's happened, I thought maybe we could expedite that. And I just thought this would be something to put on your radar since Peaches is kind of your co-pilot.
Well, Chief, I think we both understand the kind of barriers that are in play here. But assuming Peaches overcomes those and gets some good scores on the flight exams, I think we'll do all right.
Oh, I don't know if Peaches is... Wait, are you... I mean, I guess Peaches could fly. I don't know.
In what other capacity would I want my pilot trainee?
I think Peaches wants to kind of be... it's my personal opinion, Commander, that Peaches is kind of trying to be like you. I think Peaches not only wants to fly, I think Peaches wants to serve on the USS Pride, if you know what I mean.
Well, if Peaches wants to be a member of the crew, you go where you're assigned in Starfleet, huh?
Is there anything I should... do you want to handle this, or is this something I could tell them to come talk to you about?
Thank you for letting me know, Chief.
Sure, yeah, no problem. Maybe you could finally get them to shut up about it a little bit. It's just...
As your XO, I need you to know that I have no intention of doing that.
Yeah. The more things change.
Yeah, gosh, gotta be rough for a deck chief, huh? Hey, at least I hear that CAG's gonna be out of your hair a little more. So got that going for you. I hear they're not all the way out, so I'd watch myself if I were you.
I hope that's not true.
I'm in.
I mean, my wit's gonna dull if I don't have somebody to make fun of down here.
Wow. Careful. I hear XOs hear everything. Nice firm shoulder check.
Okay.
And then sure, yeah, no, I'll go see Cadet Peaches. Whoa, Cadet Peaches.
Yeah. Striding across the deck, you find Peaches is actually hovering near Peregrine 1. There is currently 2 ensigns that are on their back underneath Peregrine 1 running diagnostic checks. And you hear one of the ensigns just calling out underneath the Peregrine as it's kind of hovering up above the deck. One of them just says, "Are you still there, Peaches?" And Peaches says, "Yes, I'm here to give moral support. You were all doing an excellent job on Peregrine 1. Well done." Thank you, Peaches. I appreciate that. You are very welcome. Commander, congratulations on your promotion. I hear you are now the XO of the ship.
Before I answer, I am just going to take a quick look under Peregrine 1. How are the ensigns doing? Is my baby okay?
As you look underneath Peregrine 1, they have a couple of panels that have been pulled aside and set down onto the ground, and they look like they're just doing standard issue maintenance work. It's all basically diagnostics, just making sure that she's fine. But when they see you looking down, one of the ensigns looks a little nervous as both the pilot and the XO of the ship they are working on has spotted them. The other ensign goes, "Oh, hey, Commander."
Ensign?
Don't worry. Ship's in tip-top shape. Just running standard diagnostics. Nothing new to report.
Oh, that thermocoupler doesn't look loose to you?
Nah. These peregrines usually have these kinds of, well, you would know. It's just that sometimes peregrines have to pull some pretty intense high-G maneuvers in upper atmosphere. And the way that the compression works on the inside of the hull, Starfleet's got a clever little device here. It presses a button and you see, literally you watch the interior force field just form around some of the more sensitive areas of the plasma conduits underneath. It's just standard issue kind of stuff, safety things, and come into play. I don't want to bore you, Commander. You probably know all this.
Can I, based on the type of diagnostic they're doing, just grab the next hyperspanner they're going to need off the tray and slide it toward them and give it a pat-pat?
Okay. He just goes scraping across the ground, bounces into the other ensign who's nervous to talk to you and says, thank you, Commander.
All right, well, keep her flying. Peaches?
Yes, keep her flying. Well done, ensigns.
And we're going to give it a... Well, it isn't a walk and talk for this one.
Yeah, Peaches hovers next to you.
I guess we'll hover and see what conversation we cover. So, you've been chatty about your career aspirations, I hear.
Yes, Commander. I have career aspirations.
Namely?
I'm not certain what you mean, Commander.
What are said aspirations?
I have observed in my recent studies of synthetic contributions to Starfleet crews that unless one is a full-fledged member of the crew, a certain prejudice begins to build up around said synthetic life.
Okay.
I believe it would be beneficial to both my crewmates and myself if I were to become an official member of the crew of the USS Pride, given my current upgraded situation. Would you agree?
That's Cadence call. I'm more interested in what you want to do. Cadence plenty inclined to make all sorts of people members of the crew.
Well, I enjoy very much doing the work that I do with you, Commander. I don't think I'd be looking to change that situation.
Well, then you know what you got to do. Practice your barrel rolls.
Perhaps engineering.
When you figure it out, write me a brief.
Thank you, Commander. I will.
Cadets are supposed to explore. Most of us are in tiny children who grow into cadets who know what we want to do.
I think I understand what you mean.
Yeah, I guess you didn't really grow at all. You're just kind of Peach's size. But you know what? You make it look good. Pat, pat.
Commander, do you think I would make a good engineer?
I haven't seen you try it.
Perhaps I could take over the ensign's duties.
Perhaps you should
Santos calls out from, please don't. They've been assigned to that. Go find a new duty.
check with Deck Chief Santos and make yourself helpful.
Perhaps
That
I should
sounds
look
like a plan.
Yeah, I think perhaps I should also overlook protocol and refresh myself with how this would work.
Well, if it's anything like the flight manual, that shouldn't take long.
Complete. I shall now go speak to Deck Chief Santos. Thank you so much for your guidance, Commander.
Yeah. Do anything you set your mind to. Just set your mind to something first. You need goals to go after.
You see on the display in the front of that black glossy casing that would be where a face might go for Peaches, just a sort of digital representation of a thumbs up appears. Just goes. I'm working on my communication skills, Commander.
You know, it's a unique communication style. I'll go talk to Cap.
Thank you, Commander.
I'll head up to the bridge. See what all these big bird folks are doing up there.
Okay. You get onto the bridge. The rest of the crew is there. But the one thing you spot, and this is new news for everybody, as you step onto the bridge, Commander Cadence, as per crew transfer request and approval, you see sitting in the op station is the new ensign who has been pulled from her transporter duties. Ensign Zoe Devons is now sitting at ops next to your sibling, and is in the process of reporting some data to the captain. Just as soon as you step on the bridge, the door opens up and you step in. The first person you see upon entering the bridge is, of course, the chief weapons officer at his duty station.
Cadence. Or the Commander Cadence. That's straighter.
It is at the point they're addressed as commander that they realize their sup nod might have been a little inadequate to the protocol. Commander Town. Where's the captain right now?
I think the captain's in the ready room at the moment.
All right, they'll give you the old knock knock.
Open. You just see a bunch of designs on the desk, and Jared is just kind of fretting over all of them. How are you taking to the new position?
Well, we got through rosters and reports and family breakfast. They'll perch up, sitting on top of the back of the chair that people who come to the ready room are supposed to sit on, so that they can perch nice and high and look over the designs you're looking at. What do we got?
Personal matter. Family breakfast.
Yeah, it was. I look back to the designs to try to deflect right back to you. What do I see? What can I gain from seeing it?
Uniforms. And then Jared puts his hands on the tab, covering them up. You tell me yours, I'll tell you mine.
They slide down the back of the chair they'd been sitting on.
They pulled a Riker, but like a lazy Riker.
Yeah, like a 2-part, like a perch into a
like a Pride Month Riker.
A Prideker.
There you go.
Cadence. My sister brought me breakfast.
How terrible. I'm glad you survived.
She hasn't done that since long.
Well, if this is your reaction to it, I might understand the hesitation.
Tell me about your thing. Please, Captain.
I've never stepped foot on Bajor before.
Oh, they sit properly in their chair.
I've born and raised on a space station. I've only heard the stories. And there is hesitation in showing up for the first time in my homeland dressed exactly like this. And according to Starfleet uniform protocol, At captain's discretion, alterations may be made to the uniform.
Show some hometown pride.
You get one shot to make a good first impression.
Well, I'm sure your first impressions are like Taeyeon's shots. They don't miss.
So, I'd imagine it's quite a shock, the workload you got this morning.
Getting up to speed, sir.
Well, I have some suggestions for alterations or some changes to your flight deck. Very curious to know your thoughts on that.
I mean, you really do have your ear to the deck, sir. I thought that was supposed to be my job with the gossip. My understanding of the command team is I get the gossip. I bring you the gossip, and you already have the gossip. What's the point of me?
Redundancies. If there's gossip that I miss and it affects the ship, then we are well and truly compromised.
Understood. Why not? Passes the test, passes the test, doesn't pass the test, doesn't make it.
Oh, sorry. What was that?
Please, let him pass the tests. Let him go for it.
Well, then I'll leave that under your eyes. And should you need me, I'll be here to support. Is there anything that needs my attention?
Thing is, sir, I do hear the CAG's a bit of a hard ass about passing pilots. He just might not make it. And you get the vibe that they are, in fact, being sincere here.
How do you think an entity like Peaches would handle failure?
I don't know. I mean, they're young. Resilience takes time, right?
Or you take the poison in small doses? Why don't we start to give Peaches more tasks that will require proactivity, creativity, personal investment, with a possible chance for failure. Things that will be of no consequence, but allow for creative expression of oneself. That way, we can introduce Peaches to the concept of failure in a safe environment with a safe activity, monitor the reaction, and help guide the intelligence into accepting failure as a necessary part of life.
Sounds like a plan, sir.
Don't sound so surprised.
I'm just going back and applying that retroactively. I like that one. They'll point back at you.
Oh,
I don't know if my opinion matters for anything, but
I thought the stash might have been a little too on the nose, but I like it too.
Hey, let subtlety be for people who aren't bold.
How about you? Really? How are you taking to the new role? Is it too much? Too little?
It's been one day. Takes longer than that to fly or fall.
Yeah, but it doesn't take that much longer to know if one's on fire.
Not the way I fly, sir.
The way you fly, I don't think you would be alive long enough to know if you're on fire if things go wrong.
Oh, can't hear that one over the sound of the replicator getting myself more coffee. You need anything, Cap?
I could use your thoughts on a few more of these designs. I am going to take some time to myself and have a conversation with your sibling. We are well overdue for a boxing match, and I think we have a conversation to have out. Any tips and tricks that might help me? Do they favor left side, right side? Do I need to watch out for the cross or the uppercut?
You've boxed a Vulcan before, right?
Yes. It's a truly humbling experience.
Yeah, I got no tips for getting through that one, sir. Fight on an advantageous battlefield, and it isn't that one.
I'd like to think the squared circle is my battlefield.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, go get him, Cap. I believe in you. They have both hands clasped behind their back, that Jadzia Dax style. You don't need to concern yourself with any fingers that are crossed behind him. You got this, Cap.
All right. Well, ship's yours until I get back. Don't blow it up.
Sir, strongly consider it.
I'm gonna head out of the ready room and just kind of point at Tavi.
I believe. Yeah, I was gonna say I believe.
Yeah, I'd love to have a scene that's occurring as this scene is happening. With
Oh,
Cadence
perfect.
And,
So you come out to these two hunched over the helm, looking furtive. Anyways, go for it.
I think as the moment Cadence walks into the ready room, I immediately turn to face. I look to face Tavine and go, "So how did it go?"
So she is like 30 feet in front of you with her back
Oh
to you.
yes, okay. In that
And
case,
it's not. You
Philly,
say.
I
Like you say
Philly,
anything, she does not acknowledge you from that far away.
I think they're fully aware you can hear them, and they know
Yeah,
you're not acknowledging them. They walk up to you and just kind of crouch beside you. I said, "How did it go?"
I think it was quite awkward.
Okay,
But I think they liked the coffee.
that's good.
That
How
was a
about
good suggestion. Thank you.
Yes,
Suggestion.
I've had your eggs before, and
I didn't drink
yes,
coffee in high school, so I didn't think of it. But that is a smart addition.
and the eggs, were they as burnt? They were singed. What you didn't? They were singed.
I ate them.
That's honestly a good sign.
I may have just been hungry, however.
That is possible. I imagine they've been up fairly late with the new responsibilities.
I ate them when we were kids too, so I think maybe they're just used to my bad cooking. I didn't
Yeah.
do a lot of cooking for us. It was mostly Mozzie.
How do you feel after that? You seemed rather apprehensive at the idea of doing this initially. Now that you've done it, what do you think?
There were so many feeling words in that question.
I'd try to stay away from them. I knew they'll make you.
You're quite mean to me, she says, with what you detect as humor.
Well, someone has to be. very clearly. That's the only thing you seem to respond to.
Well, take that up with Cadence. It was nice. I think they were unsure about my motives,
Fair.
but they did not send me away, and they ate the eggs. So,
And did you clarify your motives?
I attempted to. They seemed quite frazzled. I told them that it was that I could be Tavine instead of Commander. And they did end the breakfast by accusing me of buttering up my new superior officer. So, but I do believe that was a joke.
Okay. Yes, I don't
Tavine
think
is not making eye contact with you at all. Like, is staring like directly at the at the screen ahead of her and is not looking at you.
I think Philly, Taryn is looking directly at you, waiting for you to make eye contact, just looking directly at you.
At this point, because of the eye line, it's when you both notice that Ensign Zoe is working furiously at the op station to try and not overhear the conversation.
It's 4 feet away from us.
Yeah.
I don't think Ensign Zoe was prepared when she accepted this exciting new assignment as a bridge officer and senior staff that that she was going to be privy to personal conversations like this. So you see
two Vulcans having a conversation about feelings.
She is trying so hard to tune this out. You just see her just she catches herself humming every now and then and just kind of stops herself and just she just kind of continues to input the same thing over and over, just like
I don't know if Tavine shares this amusement, but I think Taryn definitely has this like amusement of when they express an emotion and seeing the reaction of other people seeing that, of like either it's like uncomfortability or confusion. I think Taryn takes a lot of enjoyment from that. So I think as they continue to speak to Tavine, we're just not even too annoyed Tavine, but to just see Zoe's reaction, use more feely words of like, and does that make you happy, excited? And it's definitely torturing Tavine, but there's more towards Zoe's expression.
It takes a few like prompts before Tavine realizes what you're doing and like who we're next to. And the first time she looks at you is to give you the biggest eyebrow like you've probably seen from her yet on the Pride. And then looks over to Zoe and says, "I feel as though you are pushing your luck, Commander."
Yeah, I should probably get back to my station, but I'm glad the breakfast went well, Commander.
It went better than expected. Thank you for the encouragement. I do genuinely appreciate it.
This is probably when
like crouched down and we're
just looking at my little bridge crew goblins like
I'm seated.
I look at you like, is this what they're like?
I'm just saying, like, for all of the harsh criticism I get every time I have a shore leave episode, anytime there's downtime, the crew inevitably gosses. Like y'all are following. By the way, y'all are following in the footsteps of the finest maritime tradition. It's called the scuttlebutt for a reason. So, yeah, no, it totally tracks.
This is like when you have like a work bestie and you're like, so like you like literally these two. That's what these two have been for like years. So
it's
now we're on the same bridge.
7, and y'all have a week and a half to kill. So.
Like the moment the captain steps out, I'm gonna be like standing up straight, back straight, Captain, and I'll head back to my station.
You are saved from any potential acknowledgments of your position on the bridge by Ensign Zoe, who swivels in her chair to face in the direction of the captain, emerging from his ready room to say, "Captain, I have an incoming hail from Starfleet Command."
Oh, patch him in.
Appearing on screen is Admiral Rollin, who you only just got done speaking to yesterday. You see he's setting down what looks like a cup of tea and he goes, "Captain, Sorry to be bugging you again so soon, but I need the USS Pride.
For what? Well, what's the mission?
Well, it just so happens that there is a colony in need of your assistance, and you're on the way. The colony is called Tigo 1. They have a colony set up on a world that is undergoing extensive, we'll say, terraforming. It was originally planned for a mining planet, but it was decided, even with some of the technologies that we have available to us, that the upper crust was too unstable. That being said, there are some people that fell in love with the world and have been petitioning to the Federation to build a colony there. So they were given 2 years to see if they could establish a colony and make things work. And the short version of it is, thus far, they've done a good job. The earthquakes have been quite minor and quite predictable with some of our orbiting satellites. We've been able to see the tectonic shifts in plates, and they're getting a lot of really fascinating scientific data. However, the planet has an atmosphere that's roughly the equivalent of Venus, and without some of the technological advancements we have in keeping our colonies and science stations safe, that's a death trap. And of course, predictably enough, because of the extensive overscheduling that Starfleet has made with all of the issues going on, relocating people from the blast zone of the Hobus Star. Once again, Starfleet is being called in to pull double duty because there is a colony out there that has not been helped or aided in quite a while. This is going to be cropping up a lot, Captain, and pretty much everyone in the reserve fleet, the Pride included, has been optioned up being the primary source for dealing with these issues.
Sir, understood. However, I'd just like clarification with our current status of chronotons spreading throughout the ship and spreading to individuals that board our ship. Are we certain that we are not a hazard going to these places that need additional assistance? Would we not be putting them in peril of untethering in the same manner that anyone else that comes into contact with our vessel?
He nods and says, I have proposed these exact concerns to Starfleet myself, Captain. And I am frustrated to tell you that their response to this means that the USS Pride is officially quarantined until further notice. In other words, operations off ship are completely acceptable, but no new onboarding or guests onboarding on the vessel until the USS Pride has undergone a thorough checkout to make sure that no one else can be saturated with these chronoton particles. That's going to make things very difficult if you need to relocate people. But let me go ahead and tell you this, Captain. If it comes down to whether or not the Pride needs to move people off that planet, you have full authorization to move anybody that needs rescuing. I would rather risk them possibly being saturated with anti-chronotons than leave them there to be swallowed by an unstable world that's going to rain acid on them. So do what you can, if you please, to keep everyone safe.
Understood. Furthermore, has Starfleet expended any additional resources in the investigation of our current predicament? I don't want to hesitate to help additional individuals. It's simply that a high-ranking Romulan, a chief engineer of another Starfleet vessel, their lives are in peril should we fail this investigation.
He nods and says, believe me, I'm fully aware, Captain, but it's only been 24 hours since we last spoke about this, and I don't have any updates for you just yet. I can tell you that some of the finest minds in Starfleet are currently looking over the data that you've submitted, as well as looking over some of the impressive jury rigging 3 of your officers did to get that warp jump happening. You may have just turned the page in how Starfleet travels the galaxy, or at least that's what the eggheads are saying. But for right now, all I have for you is that they're working on it. And I can't have the USS Pride simply be pulled off of operations when we're stretched this thin. So we're going to have to take some risks. And people need you.
So that is to say that we're being ordered to disengage from from embarking to Bajor to get in communications with Chief Engineer Tech.
It's your primary mission still, but I need you to divert. Tigo 1 doesn't have anybody else helping them in the next 4 days, and I don't know the true nature of their emergency. Just that they put it out on a priority channel to Starfleet and that they need help. It could be a simple matter of beaming down there, maintaining their stuff, and beaming back out.
Understood.
Sending the information. Keep me updated. I'll check in with you tomorrow. Starfleet out. Pulling up information on Tigo 1, Captain, you hear Raleigh say. And, oh my. Well, that's something the Admiral left out. And Raleigh swivels and says, may I have permission to put that up on the main view screen, sir?
Of course.
The readout appears and you see the world appearing up on the view screen. Indeed, it does look like a pretty hostile planet the moment you look at it. But nothing jumps out at you immediately until Avrali speaks up and says, "We are not beaming down to that planet, sir."
Let me guess. There's interference?
In a matter of speaking, the density and the makeup of the atmospheric, there's a Captain, this world is kind of notorious, and I can see why the Admiral was saying what he was saying. According to Starfleet records, this world's earthquakes are actually caused by its acid rain. It could be a pretty long explanation to how that's possible, but suffice to say, it's quite close to being a demon planet, sir. Starfleet doesn't have it classified as a Class Y because the radiation is not nearly as horrific as you would find on a Class Y planet, but this is to say that beaming technology would be considered unsafe if we were to use it. It'd be safer to bring a shielded ship down into the upper atmosphere.
Understood. I need you to take every reading that you have on this planet and see how it will interact with our anti-chronotons. I need to know if this is going to aggravate our situation. We're already working on a timeline, and I fear that the Admiral just cut our fuse. We have less time to work with than we may need.
Understood, sir. All right. Raleigh turns back to the station.
Given that Hata used to sit in the chair Zoe is now sitting, Cadence doesn't have an assigned seat in this classroom, so they are frantically scribbling a brief plan.
Okay.
Like, just crouched in a corner over nearby someone's station off to the left.
I think if it's okay if Jared notices this.
Yep. It's a small bridge I'm discovering. Like, I'm new to this office with its mess.
I think if Jared notices this, he's going to purposely start pacing, giving you the sign to sit in the chair. You were sitting in Hata's station last time, and it was pretty clear that you are now serving that role. But now that you are kind of floating around, you notice that the captain is pacing back and forth and offering the center chair.
They look up from their perch. I know bridge must be different than the shuttle bay, Captain, but musical chairs?
For the time being, we have a lot of adjustments to make.
They'll sit on the armrest? It's not like a refusal. It's like hey, if we want, you know?
No, he gets it. I think right now in the moment, Jaren is so like, our ship is being consumed by like, matter, and like we're being sent somewhere else, and so he's just like, it's it's what happens when you pull somebody out of hyperfocus, and also like the idea of going to Bajor and then having that snatched, like you're seeing him try and regulate again. It's just
transition frustration.
Yeah.
Okay. Then on that, they'll slide sideways. Wow, I'm just sitting so many ways today.
In honor of Pride.
Into the chair. And they'll just like flip around their pad, just so Jaren can peep that they're working up something for Griffin Squad to fly.
All right, yeah, prepare your team.
Yep. We'll make this as quick as possible. I'll work with Tavine to ensure that our course is minimally disruptive in terms of time off our course to Bayshore.
Take note of anything that your griffins interact with. If you land on something, I want to document it.
Aye, sir. Surely landing's optional.
Well, we were instructed not to interact in... Oh, that was a crashing joke. Please return. Please get to your station.
Sure. And then I realize I'm still in your chair.
I'm into the CAG. He's gonna lean over and whisper that. I'm into the CAG.
Sproing. It's like a one sproing all the way to the lift. You know that isn't physically possible, but spiritually, this is why you don't relax in the chair for even a second.
All right, Tavine, it looks like our sparring match is going to have to wait. I believe you should have the new heading on my mark.
Hi, Captain.
Let's
I'll
change
adjust.
course.
Okay.
It's corrected, sir.
Swing.
All right. The Pride immediately diverts course to the colony on Tigo 1. Some information about where you were all headed, just so everyone is up to date and briefed on where you're going to be arriving to. It is a Class N planet, and it does have a colony of roughly 112 people, mostly scientists and engineers, that have formed a sort of morbid attachment to this hell world. The acid rain here is almost unending, and it has formed acid seas. What it has also done has exposed some of the crust of the planet, which has revealed precious minerals as well as other resource-rich environments that are resistant to the acid. You can see, judging from some of the survey imagery that has come back from Starfleet, the planet does look like hell. However, it also looks stunning. It's one of those beautiful worlds that has that mixture of the universe's most hostile environments to biological life, but at the same time exists as this beautiful manifestation of utter chaos that has created a world unlike anything you've seen before. The other statistics that pop up as you are reading over any of the facts about this world are shocking. It is 493 degrees Celsius on the surface, outside of the outside of the colony shields and whatnot to keep it running. And the planet itself has such an intense gravitational pressure, or it has such a pressure to the upper atmosphere that you're starting to get a quick snapshot as to why it is that Starfleet does not recommend beaming through the upper atmosphere of the planet. It's very rare where Starfleet encounters anything where beaming to one location to the next would be considered unsafe. But apparently the density of the atmosphere of this planet, it's not uncommon to encounter things like ionic you guys did that already once before, where you were counting ionic disturbances in the upper atmosphere that made it unsafe. In this case, literally the density of the upper atmosphere of the planet, Starfleet has a flagged as highly not recommended for beaming unless in most extreme emergency situations. Judging from the rest of the statistics that you see of the colony itself, of roughly about, I would say about 150 people, you see that that it is using some of the most up-to-date technology, and that it was a Federation established outpost that was going to originally be used to see if this planet was going to be ideal for mining. But the Starfleet Corps of Engineers was pulled away before they could finish their assessments because of the situation with the Romulan Star Empire. So it is currently flagged on the personnel files that it is recommended, Starfleet is recommending that personnel be withdrawn from the planet, and that the project be booted up again in the future when there is not such a strain on Federation resources. You also see 2 notifications on the file itself where the Admiralty and Starfleet recommends that staff leave. However, it has not been enforced. Apparently, the Federation is treating this as something of an independent scientific expedition at this point, and has allowed the scientists to stay based off of their requests. There is something with the planet that the scientists apparently feel like it's worth Starfleet's scientific endeavors, and Starfleet didn't really feel like arguing with its scientists. So they said, very well, just be aware of the dangers. You're getting a good map of the dangers right now. Judging from the equipment that they are using, it might be something quite minor that's easily fixable. However, judging from the intensity of the storms and the shadiness of the transmission itself, it might be that they just don't have the personnel to do this repair or this issue, to fix whatever issue it is that they're having. The last transmission stated that they were actually suffering from what would appear to be a system-wide power fluctuation. And it's incredibly vague, but they basically post that they don't have enough engineers to help them run a diagnostic on the station, because apparently it's the acidic monsoon season right now on the planet. Literally a worst case scenario. Everything about this, Captain, tells you that this actually might be, in all seriousness, a simple stop, repair, and jump. But now that you have the updates as to what is going on, let me give you the traits of the world that you are beaming into.
Did you hear everyone simultaneously press X to doubt? Like, I heard the button click across the whole crew simultaneously in half the chat.
Okay, so hostile atmosphere 4. Yes, indeed. Unknown power fluctuations 2. And panicked staff 1. The traits that y'all are warping into. The good news is, though, the Admiral wasn't lying. This is on your way. And Captain, you suspect this is probably going to take, depending on how long it takes to fix this issue, you suspect it might take maybe a few hours out of your trip if everything runs smoothly.
All right, I think it's time to have a staff meeting to pre-plan our operation.
Okay. With the USS Pride diverted, and with it being 7:30 and an excellent attempt to refresh, because I understand that I'm having some sync issues, why don't we go ahead and take a quick 10-minute break? We'll be back in 10 minutes with a refresh stream, and we'll jump into what you guys are about to dive into.
The stream's going to be so fresh.
So fresh. So fresh and so clean.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Last Excelsior. We're going to go ahead and jump right back into the game. Where we last left off, you all were going into the conference room to overlook what this mission was going to entail. And it does look like it is going to be sort of a figure it out when you get there situation, since you don't have a full idea of exactly what the power issues are at this colony. Just that the planet that you're going to has even Ensign Zoe whispering at the conference table as she sits down, why would anyone stay there?
Scientific fascination.
Yeah.
I think I've
Those
been
jocks will
around
go through a
for-
lot for their data.
Wow.
Yeah.
Raleigh goes, I would. Data was good enough. Hey, I'm just saying, acid rain, volcanoes, demon planets, you name it. So long as the data's good, might as well be Ryza.
Oh, are we in the conference room for our pre-mission? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there doesn't have to be anything to this. If you just want to say that you guys sit down and map out something, but if you want to go through an action plan here, please do.
Okay, so we have a number of things that we're going to be dealing with here. We have ionic interference. This is very similar to the babysitter mission that we had before, where we developed a method to deal with the ionic interference. Is it possible that we would be able to go ahead?
Just to clarify, there's no ionic interference.
Oh, gotcha.
It's all literally density of the atmosphere and the acidic rain and the nature of the upper atmosphere itself. Just all lends to being incredibly inhospitable to beaming out.
We have
Power
we have
fluctuations is the
power fluctuation. That's the one.
Captain
That's the one that was also on babysitter.
Yeah.
There it is.
a hostile environment, power fluctuations, and a panicked staff are our three primary
Yeah.
Okay.
concerns.
So
it's better than a hostile staff, and an unknown atmosphere.
They may. I wouldn't discount either of those being the case too. It seems as though this personnel is quite attached to staying where they are. They may not take kindly to new people or the prospect of evacuation if it comes to that.
And to be quite honest, we don't want to evacuate them on this vessel. So regulating the issue is priority rather than pulling them out.
So am I delivering a little tie up and a bow of some engineers for him?
Would it be possible for either a role or an extended task to find the best way to attack this issue?
Yes, absolutely. And it would be one of those situations where you could as a GM, there's two things that I should let you know of. Is that the nature of the mission actually is going to immediately add 2 threat to the pool because of the nature of where you guys are going. However, you can create a trait up to level 2 for whatever plan you want to come up with that will carry into that scene. I do want to go ahead and just point out that even if you are successful in reducing the hostile environment trait, it is going to require a time passage to have it done because it's literally the environment of the planet. So it's going to be particularly challenging. If you looking to reduce that trait, I would say just keep in mind with the amount of I think you're experienced enough as a Starfleet officer to know that on the meta side of things, as a storyteller, I'm going to be juicing up threat to restore the traits that you guys reduce when it comes to the environment. So just to keep that'll paint the image for your characters to know how dangerous and fluid the situation is going to be if you're trying to counteract the environment itself. The power station and all that stuff is not going to have the same variances.
Maybe instead of like trying to affect the entire planet's atmosphere, we just do something that I guess bolsters our vessels against that specific atmosphere.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
That's what I was saying. Hey.
Yeah, you can try to stop the clouds, or you can put on a rain jacket.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So maybe we can. This is a notorious colony, notorious planet. We probably have all of their readings. There's a lot of scientists there. We can pull those out and start looking at what we might want to do the inverse.
Yeah, and that's why I was pitching like an extended task of like okay, calibrating our shields to deal with acid rather than like plasma, that sort of deal. Essentially, making the Pride this planet proof rather than trying to disrupt the planet.
Anti-proton shields. So, like, what it is to be an acid, right, is an excessive concentration of protons. What annihilates on contact with a proton?
Anti-protons, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't go to Harvard.
I didn't think so if I'm wrong, then it's not Harvard's fault. Okay?
Yeah, no, I like this. So, like, can we pitch that?
I mean, it's way weirder than just like covering it in my ship in baking soda, which is my other thought. I could just be a little science project volcano, but I think probably the little techno-babblier version involves an anti-proton shield.
Quick question, because you said the Pride is the intention to take the Pride into the atmosphere of the planet?
No.
Okay.
Probably not.
Because you could. I'm just trying to figure out what you were. I mean,
We
that's
have a few shuttles, and then we have the Griffin wing.
the Griffin
Shields-
wing for sure.
just so you all know, as treacherous as the world is, shields on the Peregrines, shields on shuttles, and shields on the Pride all will completely withstand what this planet has to throw at it.
Okay, that's good to know.
You could literally orbit the corona of the sun in the USS Pride for a couple of hours before you would be in trouble. This planet, not going to really dent the shields of the Pride.
Hey, I have this idea of where I could orbit that would
Let's throw the sun at the planet.
So then, for clarification, GM, the hostile atmosphere.
Mhm.
What kind of rolls would we be making that difficulty is going to affect? So that because we were coming at this as though are flying into it, but if our shields are going to be okay against like the rain in the hostile environment, what types of things do we need to like go up against for that?
Indeed.
Yeah.
If you would like to make a roll to see if your character can try to predict what you might be up against trying to fly in that atmosphere, you may do so.
Oh,
Oh,
you
if
know
I-
what? I think that's a perfect time to use an aux point to activate our site.
Yeah, I was gonna say that might be in a Raleigh.
In a volley situation,
Mhm.
well, yeah, if you want to activate a volley using an aux point, you can
Good enough.
absolutely do that.
I think we do that.
Okay, 1 second. Don't roll yet. I'm gonna say when. Ready?
We're watching Noir and Sam look for a die.
Ready? What is it?
4.
Oh, well, Bibliotech. Thank you so much for that aux point. You are activating aux point, so Vrali is hereby activated. I'm going to roll for a Vrali. Oops, that's Zoe's new character sheet. I need to add Zoe to the booklet. There we go. Avrali. Okay, so Avrali, your specializations. Let's just go over this.
respect that.
Research sensors, physics, spatial anomalies. Not keen on that, but you know, Avrali is an egghead, so let's go. Let's find out. Okay, so let's see. That's going to be reason science.
I believe they're an Andorian.
They have. Okay, how much momentum do you guys have? I'm going to track this real quick on here.
I think 3
I
is
think we're 3 now because we went.
yeah,
over
from
one.
scene passage.
There have to be 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reason,
Down to 2.
discipline.
Oh yeah, it would be
'Cause
down
we
to
s-
2. Yeah, because we.
Yeah, because we started at 4, or we started at 1. I used it for close. We started at 1 for close knit. 2 for close knit. Okay, then we are at 4. And also, are you
would I
software
be-
muted?
would it-
or-
I don't know if. Yeah, I think Kaylin, you might be software muted.
I might be been pressing the button. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, we started at 2.
Does it
spent
count?
one.
I have
Okay.
a question. I do have a question about that because we started off in a scene with just Cadence, and from my understanding, the close knit crew is you get 1 for every member with the talent in that scene.
That's a
So
good
only
question.
be 1 because I wasn't in that scene.
So then we're down to 2.
So you have 2 momentum. Okay. The reason why I ask is because I'm about to roll for a volley. Do you want a volley to spend momentum?
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
What would you like to spend for?
We only have 2, so
Another
1.
die.
It's an extra die?
1 for extra
Okay, cool.
die, yeah.
All right. Volley gets 3 successes. Actually, yeah, just 3 successes. All right.
Just 3.
The difficulty was 2, so you gain a bonus momentum. So that momentum gets back to you guys. Raleigh starts looking over some of the data and glancing up at the screen as y'all are having these conversations. And finally, they kind of absently raise their hand, just says, judging from the atmospheric measurements, it looks like Commander Cadence could probably fly loops in the atmosphere. I mean, I wouldn't recommend any other Starfleet pilot doing it, but if there was going to be Griffin wing, I'm not worried. There might be some anomalous. Well, the atmosphere is kind of unstable, but it's nothing you haven't been through before, Commander. I don't see anything right off the charts that seems like it's going to be a particularly dangerous flight. Just, you don't want to go outside.
So then from above table question, the hostile atmosphere is for being outside of a ship.
Yeah, anything that's happening outside the ship is going to have to contend with a relentless atmosphere. Now, the EVA suits that you are all using in Starfleet can withstand this kind of atmosphere for a limited amount of time. But the Starfleet Corps of Engineers uses specialized atmospheric suits for this kind of work. So you might, Starfleet is recommending that if you enter into this atmosphere, that you do it with specialized equipment and for limited amounts of time per time.
So it'd be a personal antiproton device kind of thing. If so, like, not that anyone might have to go outside of the base and like restart the power and like fix some wires or something. But if hypothetically that were a thing they were required to do, you would want a personal, an anti-proton pack. Perhaps to cancel out someone else's proton pack, were they to cross streams or something.
Well, I mean, we just got a bonus momentum, or we just got a momentum on that last one. I say that we spend it to get all the equipment that they recommend that we have for it. So all the equipment that we need, so we don't get caught with our pants down. We're on the meeting.
I can have those manufactured in the industrial replicator on the flight deck. No time. I hope you are all trained in how to use exosuits.
I'm not.
Don't worry. Don't worry. It just takes very minor getting used to.
Yeah, very minor.
The way you've said that, Commander, does not invite confidence.
Huh, about that. Wow.
I would like to rally in the seat if I could.
Hold on. Maybe I might let that go. Yeah, because give me 1 second.
I think we've talked in the past about whether it's a combat specific thing or if it's.
I punched the captain.
It's one of those things where I feel like it's appropriate though. Because imagine this being an episode of Star Trek where Jaren is about to give a speech because y'all are about to engage the Borg. I feel like before combat ever happens, it's incredibly appropriate to rally the crew to get that momentum and get ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and say that, yes, you can do this once before the mission. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So essentially, it's just going to come down to This is not the first time that we've had a mission where our opposition is the environment itself. Remember, we've done this before. We'll do it today, and we'll do it tomorrow. And there's no better team to have that handled. We just got done dealing with the Jim Hadar on the other side of the wormhole. We got caught by the Dominion with our pants down, and we survived to tell the tale with minimal loss of life. This will be routine. We will be flawless, we will be safe, and we will make sure that we get these people where they need to go safely. Are you ready, team?
Hi, Captain.
Yeah.
All right. And that will be my rally.
Okay. Presence command difficulty 0.
And I am going to pop a determination to turn one of them into a 1.
Crit. Okay. So you
didn't realize they pop.
if somebody wanted to have that XO roll benefit, I could get that determination right back. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm sure they could. Wow, such a shame they're down the flight deck where they got sent, kicked out of the chair. And
Okay, that's gonna give us 4 momentum.
Ooh. So we're up
Okay.
to 5.
I rolled a 11 and a 4, and I turned the 11 into a 1. I should have.
Nice.
I should have bought an extra die.
All right.
Should have bought a lottery ticket. Rolls like that.
So you guys undergo some preparations work before arrival at the colony. The good news is that at least moving around in this bulky equipment is going to be a little easier than normal, as this planet is only roughly 85 to 90% of Earth's gravity. So there's a little bit of relief on that end. A pretty heavy suit's going to be matched out pretty easily by this. Already on top of the fact that these suits do manage to become easier to be mobile in. When you arrive at system, as you're coming out of warp, long-range sensors immediately detect the planet up ahead. And as you near the planet up on the main view screen, you see a roiling, angry maelstrom of a planet. Your previous encounters with hostile worlds, all things considered, they're beautiful from above the clouds. This one has this swirling, almost emerald green and deep tan coloration in the clouds. But when lightning rolls through, you see for brief moments, it changes the coloration in the upper atmosphere to a deep blue before bleeding back into this grass green looking color. And every now and then you catch what looks like the surface down below. But thankfully, wind speeds and whatnot here, not much of a problem. Doesn't look like there's any roiling hurricanes or any such thing. It just looks like the planet is currently in its monsoon season. Lots of rain clouds, occasional lightning, but lots of rain clouds. And as the information does come back, you do see, in fact, that it looks like a hellacious planet. However, Avrali does detect on sensors the location of the colony, as it were, and does confirm that 150 life signs are currently active and seem to be healthy. Communications can be established if you would like to open up a hailing frequency.
All right, let's have a conversation, shall we?
Okay,
patch this through.
All right, your ensign. Hi, Captain. Hailing frequencies open.
This is.
Okay. Go ahead. She just immediately says, "We're getting a reply, sir. The leader of the colony, a man named Dr. Chabesh, Uridian."
Hello, Dr. Chabesh. This is Captain Jiren of the USS Pride. We heard that you folks could use a hand.
Peering up on the screen, you see indeed there's a Uridian who is wearing a fine-looking pressed scientific suit that has the logo of the Federation on it, as well as some of the scientific patches from many of the expeditions that he's been on. The Uridian's eyes light up when he sees you. He says, "Captain, I am so very pleased to see the face of a Federation captain on my screen right now. It's been a very trying couple of days. Welcome to our hellacious little world of Tico 1. We are experiencing quite the issue right now."
With a place like this, I'd imagine if you're having quite a day, it's quite a day. What can we do for you?
Well, power fluctuations in our plasma systems have essentially caused some minor fluctuations in our exterior force grid. To put it plainly, Captain, the problem is largely fixed, except for the fact that when the power fluctuations happened, the deluge of acidic rain corroded many of our vastly important environmental systems. Happy to say, we don't require any repair work done outside, mostly interior work. However, our industrial replicator was one of the things that took a punishing hit. We've used up as much of our resources as we have available to us. However, we are predicting a complete failure of life support in the next 48 hours or so.
Then we better get started. Send us the status of your industrial replicator. We'll start building parts on our end. See if we can get you up and running.
You have made me a very happy man, Captain. Thank you. I'm going to go tell my staff they're going to be very pleased.
And for my next trick, I'm going to make you a very alive man in 49 hours.
That does make my job much easier.
All right. Talk to your staff. Send us everything that will be useful in getting you up and running. I'll have my team working on our end.
Thank you, Captain. Tigo out.
I'm going to chirp engineering.
Okay.
We've got our friends on the ground. They need some help with their industrial replicator. Their life support's going down in 48 hours. How quickly will we be able to make the parts that they need? I'll be sending you the data as we get it, and I'll just kind of swipe it on my pad to them.
Parts to build an industrial replicator, Captain?
Mm-hmm.
I could probably have that done in about 30 minutes.
Good news all the way around. Is there any way that we might be able to build some additional corrosion shielding so that they don't have to worry about this problem for the next time?
That might take a little bit longer, Captain. It depends on what kind of power they're drawing down there. But if I could make a redundant shield system for them, that would be easy enough to do. It might take a little while, though. I would say that, with your permission, I might also replicate some redundant parts so they are not in this situation again.
That sounds good to me. Make it happen.
On it.
Anything you need, just let me know. And I cut comms.
Okay.
So far, so good. Jiren to Commander Cadence, do you want to do a flyby to take a look to see if you can find any other problems on the ground?
Aye, sir. You can hear from just the sound of the they're sitting in a cockpit, like they were waiting.
Okay.
I'll take a look and let Pride get a look through my eyes. Taking off.
All right, scramble.
Peaches is currently scanning through a lot of the data to find out what the impact of the atmosphere is going to be on them. And you see that they're currently running it through their tested modes of environmental stress. Remember, Peaches is used to working in space, where radiation and all manner of energies are at work trying to destroy and kill technology. Peaches looks like they are getting to a point where they have an assessment as you start seeing a lot of the data appear on the screen. And once they've compiled the information in a matter of moments, Peaches hovers near you as you are suiting up, Commander, and delivers the news. Commander, after running quick diagnostics on both my systems and going through the data supplied to me by Lieutenant Varley, I think I can conclude that I would be able to operate in this atmosphere for roughly 3 minutes.
That doesn't sound like real long, Peachkeen.
I'm afraid not, Commander. It looks like this planet is a very hostile environment. Commander?
Wow. Yeah?
Would it make me sound a little more comfortable to speak to if I had an accent? Do you think I should play with accents, Commander? Would that make the crew more comfortable around me?
You have an accent. This is your accent.
I had not thought of that, Commander. This was the voice that was given to me on my creation. It's technically a voice that was pulled from a database.
What voice?
It's simply listed as masculine 7646.
What's 7647 sound like?
I don't know, Commander. Perhaps I should access the Federation database and download an entire catalog of voices.
All right, then here's the deal. You work on Starfleet protocol and voice packs. I'll go take a look around. and we'll reconvene later. Sound good?
Understood. Commander, may I put in a request that in the future an environmental suit of some kind be made available to me? Perhaps a portable force field, a shield system, so that I am not left out of these missions?
Peachy, this one's all me. You gotta let me have some fun. You're gonna be flying your own ship someday. That's plenty of shield for you.
Understood, Commander.
And I don't think they quite shoulder check Peachy the way that they check most of their friends. I think it's like a slide and they just sort of put their forehead, just brush it by onto Peachy, and then they hop in.
Peaches doesn't immediately reply. You know Peaches well enough to know that Peaches is probably currently going through an entire Vulcan database right now to find out if that is an expression of some kind that they should know about. But as you get into the Peregrine, and as the door just seals shut, the atmosphere is established, you see Peaches wobbles a little and then hovers away. Without making an insight check, you seem relatively certain that Peaches might be trying to play with something of an expressive emote in that particular moment. It comes off a little bit like Peaches is losing their balance for a second, but then hovers away.
You know, there was a period when a family member, I won't mention any names, wanted to distinguish herself by way of a hat. This might have happened in a secondary school, and some might argue a hat is not a substitute for having a personality, but we did fully explore that hypothesis at that time. Not that I'm naming any names. Like my sister, for instance. Point being, I've seen things like what Peaches is going through, and maybe I should replicate a hat.
Okay. As you're flipping on and getting ready to, flipping on all the switches basically and getting ready to take off, you hear Lieutenant Rulon's voice in your comms going, "I'm going to be flying wing on this one, Commander."
We were briefed I was going out solo. Is that correct, crew? Because that's what I remember hearing. I just want to...
I think my exact words were, go fly out and get eyes on the ground. It's up to you how you want to interpret.
Okay. I think I probably was just extrapolating from Raleigh being like, no one else fly this. It's fine.
Yeah, unless you specify, you can absolutely say, "Nah, I've got this." But the standard issue is that if somebody goes out, they go out with a wing person, unless it's a scouting mission.
I was just trying to figure out if this is as I would have briefed my crew, or if Rulon had gotten the brief, it was solo, and nominated himself anyway. Sounds like it's the former, not the latter. All right, Rulon, keep up.
The two of you watch as the back hangar doors just begin to slide open, the two just kind of like expanding arms opening up. You see the beautiful arcing gentle slope of the globe in front of you that you'll be flying into, and the distant yellow sun as well. After a few moments, the two of you, the two Griffin 4 and Griffin 1, and the two of you exit the back of the USS Pride. As you bank around and see the planet down below, the two of you dip your noses and begin to enter into the upper atmosphere. At first, it's that gentle hum of acknowledgement, like you've just touched the planet. The Peregrine wobbles a little bit as it adjusts, and as you begin to feel the upper atmosphere pushing on through and accelerating, you see the superheated metals of the Peregrine begin to light up into that brilliant crimson and then into that hot orange reds as you guys break into the atmosphere. As you do, the computer begins to go off, alerting you to the dangers of the atmosphere. And as you enter into the upper atmosphere itself, breaking through the stratosphere, you indeed find out that Raleigh's predictions were correct. As you guys enter into these clouds of highly acidic and corrosive gases, it's smooth flying, except for it's like flying through a rain cloud. You hit a bump every now and then, but the inertial dampeners cover it just fine. It's smooth flying.
Not bad for the view.
As soon as you break through that upper atmosphere, you see the landscape below is hauntingly beautiful. You were expecting this hellish planet, but what you see is the gases and the corrosion that has occurred. It looks like your imagination is ignited by the ecosystem that must exist in this world, because what you see is the destruction of the minerals of the planet seems to feed into the upper atmosphere, much like water does on a Class M planet. You were watching what looks like the rain, the corrosive rain itself, is causing a strange geological event that makes the planet look like it is essentially a home to waving seaweed-like curtains of energy drifting up into the clouds. You're watching these multicolored streams of gases funneling up gently into the upper atmosphere. And it creates this effect that almost looks like you were in a great forest, of a ghost-like forest of trees that gods walk among. Their size is incredible. Plus, the way it catches the light as it breaks through these acidic clouds, Cadence, gives it this imagery that splices this green-like glow across the planet's surface, making the entire world down below look like it is a glistening emerald that is being rained on by pure water.
Hey, Rulon. For now, what was the prettiest flyby you ever did?
I'm having trouble remembering. I can tell you, me personally, I haven't had too many, but my previous host saw some pretty amazing things. I've got some memories of planets made completely out of diamonds.
You gotta give me the coordinates sometime.
It was quite the sight. Of course, I didn't know that that's what I was seeing. You would think they would look, initially, I thought they were just going to look like glistening cut diamonds the way I see in some of the Earth films that I watched. We don't have diamonds on Trill.
Wait, are you an Earth film fan? And they're just gonna, for lols, quick flip their ship end over end, kind of just like, really, bro?
No, I am not. But my previous host, her wife, was. And so I had to watch them over and over and over again.
Ew.
I personally do not like Earth films.
Vulcan classic cinema's where it's at.
She's silent.
Yeah. No, you say that, but you don't get it until you have seen the inductive proof at least twice.
Sure. As you get lower into the atmosphere, you can clearly see the facility built into a rock. The rock face itself looks like it is, at first, it almost looks like it is a giant slab of quartz that is built, that is like jutting out from a sandstone-like rock face because of how porous it looks. But as you get closer, you can't really pinpoint what kind of mineral it is. Some kind of variation of a gemstone of some kind. It's not particularly beautiful per se, but you can tell that it has like that sort of, it has a depth to it. It almost looks like a frozen ocean. You can see the light kind of seeping down beneath the surface and disappearing into the cloudy mineral atmosphere of the mineral itself. The research station stands out like a bit of a sore thumb. It's this piece of rather graceful looking technology, but still a Federation outpost just sort of built into this beautiful outcropping of mineral. What's curious too about the station is the relentless assault of the acidic rain, Cadence. You can see the force field constantly reacting to it. So it makes it look like the Federation station is just experiencing this cyan colored like energy fluctuation all over the force field of the exterior of the station itself. Like literally, if rain droplets were just falling into a crystal blue lake and you just watch the force field just kind of, you can hear on the comms as y'all are coming up on the station just going, Rulon's saying everything here is just really pretty for some reason, even though it all will kill you.
It's like that with these. It's like those anglerfish with a little light.
I don't know what that is.
Deep sea earth fish. They're real pretty, and it just tempts you right in before. I was making a biting gesture. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Reminds me
Doesn't
of my
come across over
ex-husband.
comms.
Y'all do the fly by the station, and if you would like to make a quick check, you may.
I would not, but if I could make a slow check, I actually think I'd be down for that.
You can try. You can certainly try. So if you want to have somebody roll for your peregrine to do a sensor sweep, you may, to see if you see anything. Otherwise, you can just eyeball it, because the atmosphere is quite clear. Aside from the columns of this gas that are going up, they're all sectioned off from themselves. They're pretty regulated to their columns. So nothing blocking your field of vision. Even the rain itself doesn't seem to be hampering you too much. I would say for this, I would make this a daring check. So I would say this is going to be a daring security check. Do a flyby, unless you're looking for something specific.
Not necessarily, but I was thinking maybe I'd just use a quick takeoff action, activate my signature support for the sensor scout, and just send this data right back to the. I'm gonna need to know that sensor jock's name now. I'm on the bridge. What's the sensor jock's name? The Andorian?
Are you asking your wingman?
No, I'm just thinking it in my head silently. But also, what is it?
Zoe. I don't know if that's their last name, but I remember Zoe.
No, you're talking about the Evrali.
Evrali! Oh my gosh. I finally remembered.
Like,
it clicked. I just heard this little voice.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll have to remember that, because I'm on the bridge with them now.
To be forgotten by your creator. What?
Honestly.
What are you talking about?
What a great insult.
I'm not
sorry
related to Evrali at all.
I don't know what came over me just now. That was not my voice, Commander. I'm sorry.
Yeah, weird. Anyway, so yeah, I'm sending the data back to the sensor scout with an advanced sensor suites talent active for them to do that a little bit more easily.
Easy enough to do then.
Make it Evrali's problem.
Evrali, who is not active in the scene, I will roll for them. And actually, yeah, that's true. So Evrali gets the data and turns to you, Captain, and just says, "Oh, it really is just that simple. The acid rain seems to have corroded some of their power grid. Looks like it got into the systems, the main power hub of their systems. It also looks like their shields are fluctuating because of the damage to the power grid. So there might be some internal damage that hasn't been detected yet, Captain."
Well, let's see if we can take a deeper look. Want to make sure that when we set these people up, we get them taken care of for today and a whole lot of tomorrows.
Okay.
We do love a mission that has a happy ending, huh?
So do me a favor, Captain.
Yeah.
Roll me, if you would please, roll me a control command with a difficulty of 3.
Okie
And
dokie.
anybody who wants to roll for Pride, please do. And for the Pride, you are going to be rolling comms plus command.
Control command, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How much momentum do we have, gang?
4 now.
So much.
Oh. Yeah, enough. You rolled a rally, so
Yeah, your
4.
rally was pretty
We're
good.
down to 4 because it was a new scene, unless the meeting was part of the scene. But this is yeah.
But also we have the command ship thing.
Oh yeah,
What is
the
the
Pride does
So
command?
let's see if that fits in here.
When a character
when a character succeeds at a command task to create a trait, They may always be assisted by the ship's communications plus command, and they may confer the trait to allied ships, landing parties, or away teams with whom the ship maintains communication link.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, communications plus command is what I'm having you roll.
All right, so I am going to buy an additional die here.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go ahead and roll that bad boy. Roll that.
Pride.
He's rolling
Okay.
pride.
It was 3.
So that is 2 successes.
Okay.
Let's take a look at our focuses here to see if we can get over the hump.
What
I can roll
focus
for
do you have for
pride
command?
to see what happens.
Yeah, roll pride.
Roll pride. Yeah, no. No. My luck is with the Peregrine and apparently nothing else.
All right. So focuses. Oh, they. Okay. Multitasking.
Okay.
Martial arts, boxing. Team dynamics, Starfleet protocol, inspiration, and composure.
Both team dynamics and multitasking would be a good focus for this.
Okay. In that case, we're at 3.
3 successes. Okay. So
Yes.
you hit it right on the head. So essentially, it takes 3 hours for this mission. If you would like to spend momentum to reduce that time, you may. You're not particularly on a time crunch, but you have the option of reducing that amount of time spent. But essentially, over the next 3 hours, the USS Pride, coordinating with the station staff, replicates industrial equipment and basically just shuttles back and forth. What you discover by hour number 2 is, in fact, there is nothing else to the mission. You've been given a menial task of simply delivering repair work and having it installed and done. When hour number 3 finally rolls around and Pavin and the engineering crew are back on board the station, the science staff reports that their power grid is up and running and everything is functioning perfect. And computer diagnostics are stating that they won't need maintenance for the next 20 years. However, they're putting in their request right now.
Not a bad idea.
But essentially, the role is for the menial task. As you complete this, it occurs to you in this moment, Jared, as you're sitting in your command chair, getting the readouts from Cadence and like the mission reports of the flight path and everything that's coming through. As it's happening, perhaps everyone might notice on the bridge that the entire purpose of the USS Pride, when you initially launched, was in fact to function as a reserve fleet ship that would be doing these very simple tasks that other ships cannot be bothered to do. Ships that are still very much long ahead of their service date, whereas the Pride is long past her retirement. In this case, you see Avrali pivot a little bit as they are standing, their arms slumped over their chair. They look a little disappointed and pipe up just as you're finishing the mission report to say, I don't know. I expected like a giant space worm or like Klingons attacking or something.
We'll get them next time, Tiger.
I think you hit tailpipes up. I would prefer if we didn't. This is exactly what I was hoping for, exactly what I signed up for. Just menial tasks, Captain.
We could do a barrel roll, Lieutenant. Would that help with your entertainment for this mission?
You received some helm data from the away ship.
I immediately look at the data.
Oh, sorry, that was Tavine. Although, if you want to see that, I did a barrel roll.
Well, Peregrine, please return to base. Helmsman, let's get ourselves back on course, and why don't we treat ourselves to a barrel roll before we hit warp?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Two things. As you return to Mama Bird, or Big Bird, I should say, as you return to Big Bird, the moment you disembark, first of all, when you step down onto the deck, you're met by Peaches, who immediately just says, "Welcome back, Commander. I trust your mission was a great success."
Is that 6747? It was a success. Thank you so much,
You are most welcome.
Sir Duke Peachington III.
I'm not quite sure I understand your reference, Commander.
Cross-reference audio files with a similar dialect and their associated names and titles. I think you'll get there.
This is Earth-related, I take it.
Indubitably.
Very good.
Very good. Pip pip. Cheerio. And they'll walk past.
As Drac dies a little inside.
Tail sneezes in the bridge for some reason.
When we played with Duncan back in TBD RPG, we were constantly apologizing to Duncan.
I never apologized because I'm garbage and I regret nothing.
Because you were like, I'm Space Lizard. I don't fucking need an accent. So
I
will let you know that I watch TBD RPG, and yes, so I'm pretty. I was prepared for what's gonna happen.
It was great. Duncan was like, "Hey, I don't care. Just please don't pull a Dick Van Dyke, and I won't have to punch anybody in the face." Fair enough.
Captain
I
John
don't
Luke
care.
each card. I'm done with all of you.
I'm so proud of my crew. I love my crew. I'm the best ox crew.
No, I can't do this.
Peaches, after a few moments, just says, "Perhaps I should try a different voice then. But it is fun to explore, Commander, and I trust the mission went well." And about that point, you notice outside the hangar doors, which are still slowly closing, the planet suddenly starts going. The horizon of the world behind you starts to pivot. You just watch it kind of roll, and the stars begin to spin. If for a split second, you're not sure what's happening, but only a split second because you're a pilot. However, everybody in the hangar stares outside the doors as they are closing, not fully understanding what it is they're seeing.
You get a chirp on your comm badge.
So, how much longer?
It's a large vessel, Commander.
Excuses, Commander.
You barrel roll an 80-year-old battleship.
And that, I think I would like the barrel roll to kick us off into our...
Okay.
I would also like that.
Just for funsies, go ahead and make that check for me.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
If ever there was a time we need you to not roll 20s.
You are literally rolling Pride.
Once again.
I love that everyone panicking, being like, "What's going on? Why everything's turning?" And
because nobody else in the hangar is a pilot. They don't get it. Of course, Cadence, being a pilot of a Peregrine, immediately is able to register what's happening. But yeah, no one.
We're going slow. Here we go.
You can go as fast as you. I mean, you're chief helms officer, so however you want to do this. But whoever wants to roll for Pride.
I would like. Because I'm showing off a little bit, I would like to take one of our momentum.
Oh, absolutely. Momentum should frankly only be used to make pilots look good.
I don't think, did Lark Sage ever roll the ride? I don't think she did.
Roll ride? No.
No, I don't think. I think this might be the first time anyone has rolled the ship. So this for the Pride, this is going to be an engines con check, whoever wants to roll that.
Let's go.
I won't, because my luck is bad with the Pride, so someone else should do it.
All right, I'll roll Pride.
Please don't.
Well, no, Tavine's roller Pride. Anyway.
Hold on, let me get let me find the Pride's character sheet.
The difficulty of this is 1.
Yeah.
We're counting on you to be. Don't kill us, please.
Oh, we're good. Don't worry.
I'm going to spend 8 threat.
Now's the time.
You had to.
Oh, okay. I've got the Pride here. I'm assuming that we are rolling.
It's engines and con. Yeah.
Engines con.
Engines con. Difficulty 1.
Hey, yo. That's not bad for
Engines is the Pride's best stat.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
Pride.
Wait, do you mean that a ship full of pilots might have coerced the crew to give themselves a good piloting check?
I mean, it's an Excelsior class starship. This was one of the best workhorses Starfleet has ever had. I mean, it's all engineering systems.
You sound like my sister.
That is one success. I rolled an 8.
Sweet, one
Lovely.
success.
So that's
That's
4
my
total.
grandpa.
4 total
Four
successes.
total.
It is a smooth roll right into warp. Worthy of some bragging rights. Because you time it perfectly where you just roll right into... You watch as Tavine not only rolls that, but rolls right into the coordinate course plot of the warp itself in a masterful display. Keeping in mind that y'all are warping in system as well. So you just roll that in, jump.
You receive a message to your console. It is the floating point number 8.4.
We will cut to end of day where duty shifts are ending for Alpha Shift. Beta Shift comes on board, and you see a few of the crew members relieving the other crew members of station. You see the operations officer approaching, one of the Ox crew members approaching Zoe and just, how was your first day? It was great. Tavine rolled the ship. I heard about that. I saw it outside my window. I didn't know what I was seeing. Like, they just start kind of catching up.
I'm going to have to answer for that.
You're captain. This is, I mean, Starfleet, do what you want. I mean, this is the perk of being captain. Remind me to tell you the story. I've got some stories to tell. My first dungeon master was a driver on a Los Angeles class nuclear attack sub, and he probably told me stuff he shouldn't have been telling me about some of the stuff that they did with that ship.
Tokyo drifting a nuke sub.
You're not that far off.
I think the part where they took it to Jupiter was the cool one.
It was pretty fun how they did that. Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how they convinced the dolphin to throw them using its flutes, but whatever. Anyway, the end of the day, unless you guys have any scenes, y'all are currently back on course and traveling to Bayshore.
I think I'm going to tap Tavine in for that boxing match.
Okay. Real quick, before, you know what? No, I'm not going to ask. I'm going to spend a point of threat. I'm going to say word has gotten out on the ship about this boxing match. And so, Tavine, whatever happens next, when you guys get to the holodeck, there are people gathered. A lot of them off duty. And there is one person in particular who steps forward as y'all are approaching the holodeck. You see Lieutenant Zarya Shirali approach as y'all are, Captain Tavine. Just curious, are there any spectators allowed for this match? I think it would do a lot of good for the ship's morale, sir. That's just me speaking as Chief of Security. My personal opinion.
Captain, I was unaware an official match was taking place. I assumed I was holding punch pads for you, sir.
Yeah, it's gonna be more sparring, but knowing how interested the crew is, well, we can get something set up for later. I think the anticipation will be good for morale as well. Let them know that. Oh, yes, please.
I was going to say, if you were looking for an interesting match, you may want to tag in Commander Taeon, who actually has combat experience. I know very little.
No.
Noted, sir.
He just looks at him probably. Next time, we're just going to be sparring today, but we'll spread word around the crew. There might be a boxing league set up on the Pride.
That gets an eyebrow raise, and she says, "Understood. I'll let the crew know."
Wonderful.
And with that, you guys have the holodeck to yourselves as she turns back and says, all right, kids, we're postponing this. Don't give me those looks. If you are regretting not having a boxing match tonight, you are welcome to report to holodeck 3, where I will have a boxing match with you. Did you just hear her talking?
Yes!
Everyone else.
Oh, we're setting up a boxing league and a TTRPG group.
So everybody's just reached into my calendar and pulled out all of
And
my...
put everything that Caitlin does. Yes.
Wrestling is next. I know it's going to happen. Y'all, characters going to come up with stage names and everything. You're going to have intro music. It's going to happen.
We're going to have a shit full of Caitlins.
We need some baseball, and we've got all of it, really.
Yeah.
That does actually sound like a Trek episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all have the holodeck.
I think it's just going to start with just some light sparring or like just Jiren hitting the punching bags and asking, so have you had a chance to talk with Cadence? I heard that there was a breakfast.
Word does travel fast on a large ship. I knew this, and yet... Yes, I did bring them breakfast. I figured they hadn't eaten. And I was correct.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. It's just a little harder.
Which element are you inquiring, sir?
Well, your request for Cadence to get an assistant, I wonder if that comes from a concerned crewman or a sibling.
Both, sir. Likely more as a sibling. Figured a yeoman position maybe would be beneficial for at least the transition period. For the paperwork, at least.
And going above your exo to request this of the captain, what motivates that?
That comes entirely from a sibling point of view. I figured maybe they'd be more receptive to help if it didn't come from me.
Are you two just incapable of being direct with each other?
Do you have siblings, Captain?
No.
And I don't know if I can quite convey the answer to that question.
I am familiar with social awkwardness.
I've been told I contain multitudes on that front, sir. On both human and Vulcan standards. I've been told by Cadence it's quite impressive. I do know they were joking.
Awkwardness isn't just yours. I'm going to a home world that I've never been to before. You know, sometimes you just handle things directly instead of orbiting the situation or the problem.
I didn't know this, Captain. You seemed to be looking forward to it.
I am. I am. I am. I am. Just punches.
You know, sir, I have never been to Vulcan myself. Was raised on Earth.
Vulcan raised on Earth and a human raised by Vulcans. You two going
Quite
for
the
the
pair.
full gamut.
Quite the pair indeed. Raised almost partially, nearly entirely by a Trill, who was not actually our parent. So, as many possible outliers as you could attach to us, we probably have. You may have heard of them, Mozzie. If you are as close with Cadence as you seem, they may have mentioned her.
They weren't mentioned. And me and the commander, we communicate on what is necessary for the mission. Not right now, computer.
I'm not sure how to help you with that.
Sorry, Captain. I am testing out my voices right now.
Damn it, Peaches! Apologies.
I feel I have stepped on a landmine. I didn't mean to insinuate anything, sir.
No,
I just meant
nothing
you
was
two get along.
nothing was insinuated.
You went to
No.
academy together. I would have run into you briefly before I graduated.
Yes, we were good friends in academy.
That is all I said, sir. Are you all
That
right?
and I was agreeing with you.
Your tone of voice suggests you are uncomfortable.
No, I've just exerted myself. Is all.
Socially, this is the awkward thing.
I told you you didn't own that on your own. Would you like to throw up? I could take it.
If you insist, sir, we'll swap. We'll swap gloves.
Okay.
She will not be giving this her whole strength.
I was going to say, how hard do you hit your CO?
Oh, so that's basically like for anybody who doesn't know, punch pads are like kind of oval shaped, like 2.5 inch thick mittens that, like, just for audience sake, that kind of is a glove with this gibbeted oval on it, like pad, that you kind of hold. There are different types, but those are the ones I've been envisioning. So we'll swap so you have them, and she's not going to like necessarily like weak hand it, but she's not going to hit that hard. She will give some like sizable snaps, but she's not going to like not going to hurt you. And we'll adjust based on your reactions.
No, it's fine. So I have a rather uncomfortable question to ask you.
Sir, as your helms officer or as someone you're engaging in a social encounter with?
Boxer to boxer.
A new one, I will admit. Shoot.
Do you love your sister? Oh, your sibling?
More than anything, sir, yes.
Have you told them?
Not in a long time, I don't think. Not with those words.
Why not?
Kind of hard when you haven't spoken to someone for nearly 13 years.
And yet you had breakfast with them. Must have been a silent breakfast.
I see.
That's it?
I'm trying to consider whether or not this is too much their business to be sharing, sir.
I might not have a sibling, but I'm pretty familiar with the concept that it is not a foreign idea to tell them that you love them.
I agree. Sir, I more mean divulging why we haven't spoken or why it feels tumultuous to do so.
Does it matter?
If I'm speaking things about them that they don't want someone to know, then yes.
He's going to take the mittens off. What we do is dangerous, especially in the circumstances that we have. You know that. You're smart enough to know that. Cadence knows that. They're smart enough to know that. So either you two aren't saying it because it's not true or because you're scared to.
So many feeling words have been thrown at me today, sir.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the first to say so, I will admit.
All the thinking about the question, but no thinking about the answer. I find that strange and rather illogical.
The thing is, sir, I know the answer. The hesitation is whether or not I share it with you, because you are also close with my sibling. On a boxer-to-boxer level, if you are not my commanding officer in this moment, that means you are a friend or something like it. And you are also a friend to my sibling. And if I were to share this, because it does involve them as well. Things about us, things about why we haven't spoken. It's not my place to say entirely. That is my hesitation, sir.
I'm going to spend a point of threat.
I would love that.
Yes.
Because we have 2 Vulcans in this group, and neither one of them follows the teachings of Sorek. And there is a hidden cost to Vulcans who do not undergo the rites and the rituals of emotional control.
Mhm.
It's a double-edged sword for Vulcans, because essentially y'all are like deeply passionate beings. Somebody with ADHD and who has emotional dysregulation, I know all about this. And in this case, I'm spending a point of threat to give a point of stress to the captain, as one of the punches to that hand in the middle of this, you lost a little bit of control, and to punctuate what you were saying, threw it a little harder.
Snaps a little hard.
As some anger starts to boil up a little bit. And there is a popping sound as it impacts with your palm, because you took the pad off, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yeah, Captain. It immediately numbs your palm as there's a slap.
I would like to add.
Yeah.
I would like to add to stress, because I have the trait rotator cuff tendonitis.
Oh my god.
His old
Old
boxer injury.
Bam. Okay. You gain 2 points of stress as that slapping sound from the knuckles on your palm, it reverberates up your arm.
Sabine immediately takes 2 steps backwards away from you and like has to breathe for a second. Apologies, Captain.
Oh no, it's a holy thing, feeling pain in the ring. It's good. The prophets smile on this. But the loss of control is something that you might want to investigate. Not because I'm hurt, but because I think you are. Tell them. I don't need to know why you stopped talking. And I do know why you started. We're all kind of here together, and boxer to boxer, I did not expect Cadence to be here, and it has been difficult to adjust.
And yet you made them your XO.
They made themselves my XO. Oh. I am going to go to sick bay now. Is there anything that you wanted to say?
I know what it's like to be disappointed by something you thought you were supposed to connect to. A part of yourself that you didn't grow up with, or only did in fragments. And I just want to say I hope that that is not how this goes for you, Captain. Sure. I hope it is everything it promised you to be.
My father was my only connection to Bejor, and he left when I was very young. He requested help from Starfleet that just wouldn't come. I wear this uniform because I want to be in a position where I could answer his call. I can only hope that the people of Bajor see that in me.
They will, sir.
I believe the same is true for the people of Vulcan. Now, really, I must go to sickbay. The adrenaline is starting to wear off.
Apologies, Captain.
No, you've got a mean hook. I like it.
Yeah, to put this in perspective for you, if you're used to like sparring with featherweights, then and I imagine Jaren probably spars with more than featherweights.
You spar your weight class is usually.
Yeah, I'm guessing considering how you knocked a Nausicaa's ass right hell out with a single right hook, you probably boxed with some pretty heavy hitters. This would have been like taking a swing from Foreman in his prime. So you're like flexing your hand a little bit. You're like, yeah, that felt like someone hit it with a baseball bat, like stepping out.
I just can't let my crew see me cry. What is happening right now. So I'm gonna walk out with my head held high.
All right,
until I get to sickbay.
Commander Tavine to sickbay.
This is Dr. Conway. Go ahead.
Please expect the captain momentarily. If he does not show, please seek him out.
Okay. You want to tell me what's going on, Commander?
Boxing.
Oh. All right. I'll be on the lookout for the captain.
You might hear some wailing on the other side of the comm as he gets in, like, ah!
What is it? Oh, I'm immediately okay. I heard a cry in my head. And I'm like, where is that? It's a funny ass moment. Oh, it's from Galaxy Quest, where what's his name? Helm's officer breaks his arm. No, don't touch it! Don't touch it! Okay. There is a chirp at your door to Aeon.
I think Taeon is in his quarters with a couple of data pads around him, and I think he's doing some GM prep for security. So they hear the chirp and go, it's open. Come in.
The opens up and Lieutenant Zarya steps in.
Lieutenant.
She cranes her head and looks at you, says, yes.
Sorry. How can I help? You need any help with anything?
Well, you can help me navigate some tricky waters. She leans against the doorway and she says, I don't know much about Vulcan courting rituals. But what I do know is that I'm very open to direct communication. I asked you out for dinner. If the answer is no, that's totally fine. No worries at all. But I didn't get an answer. So I'm just kind of floating around, and here we are spending a week and a half at Warp, and I thought maybe I might make this a little less awkward if I stare you down and get an answer.
Taeon sets the data pads down and Silver's in the chair to look at Zarya. Forward and up front, I think, is the way it works with Vulcans, and it's definitely effective.
I think
Andorians
and Vulcans have that in common, which is probably why we went to war with each other when we first met.
Too similar, butting heads, I suppose.
History would say otherwise, but I think it's the case. Especially with Vulcans who don't necessarily, how do I say this politely, who aren't into the whole no emotions thing. I think Andorians and Vulcans have a lot more in common than you might normally say.
What are you doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I'm going to be lingering around my duty station while we travel at Warp. Why? What are you doing tomorrow?
Strangely, the same thing.
Really? Well, since we're going each other's way, do you want to get dinner?
Sounds good to me.
And without another word, she stares at you. Small smirk comes to her face, and then she just pivots out of the doorway and walks down the hall. The door closes behind her. Shh.
Taeyeon, I think, stares at the door for a moment and then turns and stares down at the data pads on their desk. I think this might be my first date. As they look down at their data pad and just kind of slide it aside. Not in the headspace to, I think, do any GM prep anymore.
You're like, I need to come up with NPCs. And with that, we pull away from the USS Pride as she continues her journey towards Bejor. I hope you'll join us next week for the next episode of The Last Excelsior. One of the things that I find I love about TNG and DS9 and that whole era of Trek is there really are day in the life of episodes where even the main mission is just another day on board of a starship. And one thing this crew has not had much of since you left Space Dock is just a day in the life of sort of thing. With a week and a half traveling through Federation space, Federation being stretched quite thin, the demands on the USS Pride crew has actually become something closer to, okay, the world isn't ending today. I don't know what to do with my hands. This was day 2. So we hope you'll join us next week as we continue our journey towards Bejor. And hopefully towards a little more information about what the hell is going on. But for now, we're going to go ahead and leave it off at that. I'm going to do something a little unique because we kind of touched on this earlier this evening, but we don't do it often. It is in the credits. I just want to go ahead and give a big thanks to our Aux Crew supporters. But in particular, I just want to give a huge shout out to our SuperPunk supporters. And the reason why is not only just because our SuperPunk supporters are donating these Aux points that we get to use in games, but there's not a single SuperPunk supporter that has not been supporting us at that level for at least a year. And so I want to give a shout out to Kai and to Lord Portico and to Michael Harris, to Bibliotech, Crafty Geek, Kerrigan29, Kato, aka Kato, S-Shock22, Matt Smith, Aether Spoon, Duran457, Leo Ambermain, and of course, Rogan27. Thank you all, Aux Crew, for all of your support, and thank you, SuperPunk supporters, for your support as well. And thank you to everyone who supports at any tier that you're supporting us at. Thank you so much for the continued support, allowing us to tell these Star Trek stories. We will catch you back here next Monday night. Until then, friends, hailing frequencies are closed.